that's the phlegm. This is mucus that's coming from the lung. Do we want to dry it up with cough medicine? Yes or no?
No.
Right. And often we'll see kids have been using one cough medicine or another. Now that they're off the market, they find ways to get it from Mexicali. And parents are sometimes upset when you treat a child with an inhaler, with a nebulizer, and, okay, doctor, what are you going to give him for his cough? They don't realize that the cough is due to this mucus, the phlegm that the child is trying to get up. If you dry it up, it gets stuck. This is not a good thing to do. So antihistamines, the Claritin, and the newer drugs are not a good thing to use for asthma. The cough medicines and decongestants are not a good thing to use. We've known that. I found an article from 1945. In 1945, there was an editorial in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Why are we giving decongestants to people who have stuffy noses and to colds? And in 1945, this doctor said, if we, this is the only tissue in the body that would take away the blood supply when it's trying to get rid of an infection or an inflammation. So we can, some of the white cells can actually leak out too, like I mentioned. A word that's used in asthma is kind of a strange one called atypy or atopy. We don't even use it much ourselves on day to day, but you read about asthma. They talk about this general group of symptoms, and there's a lot of overlap. The allergens that are found in the chemical humps of trees, grasses, weeds, mold, pet hair, something like 70 million dogs and cats in the U.S. in households. Some of the kids sleep with the puppies, and they can trigger a surface reaction, and that can cause eczema on the skin, allergic conjunctivitis. And remember, we kind of forget to write this down, but a lot of these kids have pink eyes when they come in, and it feels itchy to them. They're often rubbing their eyes. Now, allergic conjunctivitis, about 90% of kids who have asthma also have nasal allergies. The nasal allergies happen because, remember, the breathing tube in the nose is connected to the breathing tube in the lungs. They're reacting to the same allergen. The allergic rhinitis is often a part of asthma. And what I usually do is try to get the asthma under control. And then I look to see if the child also has allergic rhinitis. Some of them will have it so bad that they snore at night. They have what we call adenoid faces. You look at them, they have these, what we call allergic shiners. They look like they have black eyes. They're breathing with their mouth open, in a sort of gaping respiration. And do any of you know what allergic salute is? I mean, how many of you know what allergic salute is? Right. And so I can joke with the parents. Sometimes I'm trying to get a family history of allergies, and I look at a mom's got a 45-degree bend in her nose and a crease across it. I mean, some of the teenagers who have this bad will actually have a line where their nose bends because they've done this so often. That's the allergic salute goes along with the adenoid faces. And sometimes they'll say, well, maybe there is a family history of allergies, but the mother keeps going like this. Some of them they'll do it in different ways, but it's all the same thing. Their nose itch. And what happens when your nose itches at night? You might scratch it. So the commonest cause for nosebleeds, in my experience, is allergic rhinitis. And they call them nose pickers or digital manipulation, whatever. Try to find more euphemistic terms. You don't want to write that in the chart. Yes?
What do you think of like ceiling irrigation, like at night time, you know, kids that have that problem?
For respiratory infections, yes. For asthma, only if there's so much gunk there that the medicine's never going to get there. And I think nasal saline is a very underused, cheap, it's kind of labor intensive, but it gives something for the parents to do. And the way I put it is, if the mucus is very thick, then this thins it down so the kids can blow their nose and swallow it, but the mothers can pull it out with a bulb syringe in younger children. Remember, small children are obligate nose breathers. So when their nose is stuffed up, they don't really know how to breathe through their mouth. So they'll get pussy and they don't sleep well. You get that gunk out. It's better. So I think it's a great idea. I use it 2 to 3 times a day and at night. And it's something that we do more often than we do. Just as a point about that, people talk about green snot as representing infection. No, it means that they're getting oversized. White cells have enzymes in them, and when they're doing their job, the snot will turn green. So it doesn't mean that it's infected. So it's sort of an aside. So there's that. Everybody wants it. There's a scientific paper that was published recently. The title is Green Snot. Not your usual title. So, and the last of these, of course, is asthma. But there's a lot of overlap. Let's see if this. I borrowed this slide from a previous presentation, but kind of redid it. I like the idea, though, that cough and asthma is like the tip of the iceberg. It represents bronchospasm, which, and all these other things are kind of underneath the surface. It narrows the breathing tubes. It leads to leakage of white cells, plasma, that's so-called phlegm. How is it spelled in Spanish?
Phlegma.
Yeah.
Phlegma.
Right, phlegma.
Phlegma.
It's a very, very ancient word.
It's spelled F-L-E-M-A. F-L-E-M-A. Phlegma.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to learn in Spanish. No, that's Espanol. I've certainly heard that word. But some people feel that that's the cause of the disease. The phlegm is the cause of the disease. So if you dry it up, you're going to get rid of the cough or the asthma. Well, phlegm is the result of the disease, and you want to get it out, not leave it in and get it dried out and stuck. And of course, that all comes from proper inflammation. Some of the things we look for is the frequency of nighttime cough. How often do they wake up? Do they have coughing spasms? Does it interfere with their work, sports, and play? School loss? The unscheduled visits, as I mentioned before. It's important to remember that 1/3 of the kids who die of asthma, and it still happens, have what is described in their charts as mild asthma. I've seen a couple of children die of asthma. It's just terrible. Because this is such a simple disease, and when you see a teenager, like I did once, who we tried to resuscitate, she came in and arrested. Now, many of you do vital signs. What if you had a patient who seemed to be having trouble breathing, and if you listen with a stethoscope and you don't hear wheezing, does that reassure you? Why doesn't it reassure you? Right. You got to move air to wheeze. And just before they go into respiratory arrest, they may not be moving much air. Their PCO2 may be 50, 60, on its way up, and getting brain intoxicated, and they may just stop breathing on you.